Hey guys, Mason here, Cardinal Gaming. Appreciate you guys clicking on the video, supporting the channel, supporting the store. I wanted to do I guess it is kind of a response video, isn't it? I just want to kind of just piggyback on the topic of something that Rudy just did a video on from Alpha Investments. Uh, if you're not aware of him, I don't know how you are on YouTube in this area and not know about him, but cool. Uh, no, I'm a big fan of Rudy. He's good, entertaining channel. Talks about a lot of stuff that is interested and applies to me in the business. And I really like his hot takes and just his very frank and honest opinions. A lot of people get carried away and some other stuff about him, but at the end of the day, it's YouTube. It's entertainment. Don't take it super seriously because clearly he doesn't. So, anyways. He was talking about how stores just typically just don't like to buy a lot of graded stuff and the reasoning for that and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give my perspective, my take on it, and maybe you can kind of glean, how this applies to more Pokemon, where he was really talking about Magic and Magic singles and things like that. You have to understand. We got to go back to the beginning. You have to understand that. Pre Logan Boom and all that stuff, the graded card market was very niche. Is very, I would say, small, kind of like underground. The realm of those people that dealt in those kind of things were not mainstream. They were not very well known, and with the big boom of everything and people having a renewed, I guess not really renewed, but just a sparked interest in graded cards here recently, the secret's kind of out about the people that collected these high end cards and had these graded collections and things like that. That how they made profit and how they sustained their hobby and kind of grew their hobby was by going out and buying collections and then going out and grading, the best looking cards, and then selling those cards off if they were duplicates or maybe they were able to buy them for cheap. And the topic always comes up to being like, okay, well, if you guys have been doing this for so long, why don't stores do that? Why don't stores around the country? Why would they sell something for super cheap and then at the end of the day just not? Sorry, I just heard a ding on my desktop. I want to make sure you guys can't hear it. They're talking about, why don't stores do that? And I actually have done a video about that already, but since Rudy sparked this back up, I wanted to kind of retouch on it, being almost a year later now. It's crazy to think I've been making videos for almost a year, but yeah. Anyways, it's really, you got to think about the mindset that an LGS has versus any sort of collector or things like that. We see these cards as objects to play with. They are pieces of a deck. They are staples and items and powerful cards that are used to play a game. A lot of collectors, especially in Pokemon, even more so in Pokemon than any other game, these things are just collected because they look cool and they have favorite Pokemon and they have other value that is not necessarily tied to how playable they were, or even really sometimes, not always, but sometimes, how rare they are. Stuff that is super common still has great value being graded. Ancient Mew is a perfect example of a card that is super uncommon, like super common, but after this big boom, there's a lot of people that really want something like an Ancient Mew graded. And they think it looks cool, and in a slab, it looks great. And it's a very unique looking card. That applies to a lot of the stuff here recently, and just, people want good looking cards in slabs. That's not something that was really seen before now, whereas people would have been very happy to save the money and put that money and buy the card and put it in a binder and have like a set binder or a collectible binder where they keep all this good stuff and keep it and collect it that way. So yeah, just the concept of a graded card versus and the graded stuff, that the grades they get versus what a store like me puts on something based on the play condition. The typical, like TCG player, like near mint, light play, moderate play, heavy play, damaged. Those types of things that we as stores use to denote how much play the card has gotten. Typically, it was funny. The other day I bought a Charizard GX. Maybe it was either the Hidden Fates or something like that. One of those. I don't remember which one it was, but it had a big like gouge in the middle of the card, at the top of the card, on the back, a big white spot on the back of the card, and it was really, really dumb that this card got a 10. Whether or not it happened after it was graded, I doubt it. It was right in the middle back of the card. I don't know how, like the top portion of the card, the top edge. I don't know how it would have happened in the slab or after it was graded. But anyways, I was like, this, if I tried to turn around and sell this card, not only would it not be a graded value, if I broke this out of the slab, I would be putting this out at near mint or at light play, not near mint, not a 10. I'm just like, what is going on here? And that's the type of thinking that someone like me looks at this stuff and goes, what do these conditions actually mean? And what do these numbers mean compared to store grading scales? I would say that if I sell a card in near mint, again, we're a little more strict than maybe some other stores might be. So this is, it's all relative and, based on opinion. That's all grades are really at the end of the day, or just somebody's opinion. But, a near mint in my store is a card that can either get, I would say, from an 8 to a 10 with a grading company. Light plays, it could be a bad 8 to a 7. And then you need to like 5 and 6s of these cards. You're looking at like moderately played or sometimes even heavy play for some of these cards. And the idea of me, and like Rudy said in his video, and he's very, very right. If a card is like a 6 or a 7, that card clearly has some sort of damage, visible damage, that if I was taking it in as a store, it would definitely be at a reduced rate because it'd be either a light play or a moderately played, potentially even a heavy play, just depending on what this guy's going on with it. Because, play damage and play wear is different from just like a collectible eye appeal kind of grading scale. So that makes sense. But yeah, he was absolutely correct in that. If I had a 7 in my store and it looked really good, it could potentially be to my benefit to crack that and just sell it as a near mint if it looks really good from a play wear standpoint, as maybe it has some visible flaws that a grading company might not like. So that was something that I thought, and I've said for a while, and I'm glad that he kind of touched on that too, that if you were trying to sell the same card to me raw, I would be paying not anything close to it. So that's why I think, even though the grading market, it's casual market, the people that just like want to buy a graded card if it's like their favorite Pokemon or whatever, I think that really has grown in the past year and really has developed to where maybe even casual collectors or people that don't necessarily are all in on collecting Pokemon, where they want these cards in a slab. There has been a lot of growth and a lot of people just becoming more aware of that being a thing. And I think that is never going to change. It's never going to go back to how it was, where, I think people that really, really want a certain card, they're going to buy it in a slab because they know that is like, graded cards are like the highest tier that card can be. There's no other exponential value that you can add to that card other than encapsulating it and preserving it to make that card worth any more. That's like the highest. If they really love like an alt alt art card, and they're saying, "I really love this card. This makes me happy. I want this in a slab because I want it to be the best condition and be preserved." Yeah, it's a slab is the answer, and they're going to pay that premium. But when you do get to those 7s, 6s, 5s, it kind of becomes like, I think of graded cards as like an upper echelon tier again. It's a high tier collectible. When it's a 5 or a 6, I can go through my bulk box and potentially find a card of that same quality where I can submit it. These are mass-produced goods that are sold. There's tens of thousands, there's not hundreds of thousands of these cards produced, depending on what the card is. When you get to that level, just because it's not graded doesn't mean that there's not other cards that are out there that exist in that condition. So I think people see that and they're like, well, if I'm going to pay that kind of money, I want it to be good. I want to be a good grade. So I think there is a turning point to where it would make sense to be like, yeah, no one's going to buy this at a PSA 4. I'm just going to crack it and say it's a moderately played and wash my hands of it. And we won't see that now, but we're going to see that when grading costs go back down to being more affordable and where it makes more sense to send. And then, anything other than like the top tier best card that you have in your collection, where people were going to be yeah, I'll pay $30 to put this card in a case and preserve it, even though it might only get an 8 or a 7. There's going to be a lot more of that. I think a lot of people, casual people, are saying, yeah, I want this card just to be graded just because. So, yeah, that's just, I see the market going in that direction, and I think stores don't necessarily, they don't want to turn away graded cards. I think they're just kind of hedging their bets on graded stuff because, especially now where the market is, I'm having people bring in, PSA 9s and 10s and CGCs, 9.5s and stuff like that of premium top tier modern cards. And it's just like, look, I cannot pay the typical bell curve of percentages for this card because this card has only been out for a year. And there's still tons of this card in the market and backlogged. And most people know that. That's why they're dumping it and getting their money for it now. So, but again, I do think that there is a casual market for people that want to buy certain cards, and there will always be like a good card buyer pool for certain cards that are graded. And I think that is something that has changed to whereas before that graded cards would have been like a weird novelty in my store, as opposed to like, yeah, this is something that I regularly stock, and now I stock, probably maybe a couple hundred at this point of graded cards. So yeah, that's how I as a store picture this stuff. And as we see the prices go down and then people do the old the collector's secret of turning raw cards into graded cards to sell for profit, that kind of game is going to see a lot less profitability. There's going to be a lot more people doing it. There even was when this first kicked off, where people were like, oh shoot, I can make a ton of money on doing this and really sustain my hobby. Like, that's never going to stop. That's never going to go back to how it was before. I think people are too in tune with how this works now. And I think the YouTube sphere and the people that are experts in this hobby talking about graded stuff, I think that really they kind of did themselves a disservice by kind of leaking the secret of how they have made all this profits for all these years. But yeah, I just wanted to talk on what Rudy was talking about. I do share a lot of his sentiments, but I do think there is a market there for graded cards and buying them at whatever percentage. But again, specifically where he was talking about with Magic, yeah, if it's a good playable card, yeah, it would make sense to maybe crack it and sell it as raw, as opposed to grading if the graded premium is not any more than what it would be normally, So that's something to think about, and something to consider when you're going in and you bring me a bunch of these, like base set unlimited stuff that is like 5s and 4s and 6s. I have 5 rows of card boxes in the back that have these same cards in the same condition. It's just yours has a piece of plastic that you paid probably way too much for to go around it. But yeah, that's all I want to do and put out there, guys. Hopefully, it kind of helps, gives you a better idea and kind of supports and gives you maybe better clarity about the type of stuff Rudy was talking about, maybe how it applies to Pokemon. So, of course, if you have any questions or anything, any comments, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, thanks. Bye.